Okay guys, our lesson today is to be able to find the surface area of a cylinder. Alright, and we've learned that when we find surface area, we're just finding the area of all of the surfaces of the figure, right? And we do that, one section at a time, and then we add everything together. Okay, so let's take a look at a surface area of a cylinder. Alright, and if we take a look at the surface of a cylinder, we're looking at two parts. Right, first we're looking at the area of the bases, right, which I'm circling here in black. All right, the area of the bases you see are in the shape of a circle, but there are two circles, okay, that make up the bases of the surface area. We know to find the area of a circle, we use pi times r squared, which I've underlined here in black. But then we notice that because there are two circles, right, we're multiplying pi times r squared by 2 to find the area of those two circular bases. Okay? But then let's look at the second part of our formula over here. Now, the second part of our formula, when we unroll a cylinder, right, we actually form the shape of a rectangle when we unroll the lateral area of the cylinder. Now, that lateral area is made up of two parts, right? In the shape of a rectangle, we have the base of the rectangle. Well, the base of the rectangle is this green section here that I just underlined. That green section is equivalent to the circumference, right? It's equivalent to the circumference of the circle, right? And so we know that that distance is measured by 2 times pi times r, or pi times diameter, whichever one you want to use. And then we also have the height, right? The height's going to be this segment here. So to find the lateral area, it's 2 times pi times r, right, which I see here, and then times the height, which is I see here. So to find the surface area, we simply find the area of the two circles, which is the first part of the formula, and then we add the lateral area, which in the shape of the rectangle, base times height, is going to be 2 times pi times r times h. All right, so let's see what that looks like, in the form of a problem. We're asked to find the surface area of the cylinder around your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay. Well, always start by writing the formula. So surface area is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. Alright, so that's your first step. Next step is your substitution step. So your surface area is going to be equal to 2. Now for pi, we'll use 3.14 as our approximation for pi. The radius we're given in the problem is right here in blue. Alright, that's going to be 4. Then we're going to have to square that. Plus 2 times 3.14 times the radius again times h. Well, the h is going to be this distance here. I'll mark it off in green in the picture, right? And that's going to be a height of 3. Now at this point you want to use your calculator. So surface area is going to be equal to 2 times 3.14 times 4 to the second power. Now when you enter these numbers into your calculator, make sure that you do the exponent first. So you'd have to do the 4 to the second power first, and then multiply that by 3.14 and then times 2, and we should get 100.48 plus, here we could just multiply 2 times 3.14 times 4 times 3, and that's going to give you 75.36. To find the surface area, we want to add those two numbers together. That's going to give us 175.84, and your units, of course, are going to be square units. So in this case, it's going to be square millimeters. Just remember, when you're finding the surface area, you're really finding the surface area in two parts, right? Just like we did with our prisms and pyramids, we're finding the base area, right? Our capital B is 2 times pi times r squared, and we're finding our lateral area, right? And by finding the base area and the lateral area, right, we're finding our surface area. Okay? Let's take a look at a couple more examples here. Right? You may want to try these on your own and stop the video, or just continue to watch and learn how to do these problems. Okay? Let's do problem 1 over here. Start by writing our formula. Surface area is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. And just remember, right, this is the same as your base area plus your lateral area, right? Your base area are the area of the two circles, the 2 times pi times r squared, plus your lateral area. Your lateral area is the 2 times pi times r times h. All right? So then we have, let's see, next step, surface area is going to be equal to 2 times your 3.14 times your radius. Radius in problem number 1 is that radius of 6. We have to remember to square that, plus 2 times 3.14 times your radius times your height. Your height is right here, that segment, and that's going to be 9. Right? Use your calculator at this point. And remember, when you multiply and find the area of the two bases, you have to use your order of operations. So do your 6 to the second power first. So 6 times 6 is 36, times 3.14 times 2, and that's going to give you 226.08, plus, then we multiply 2 times 3.14 times 6 times 9, and that's going to be 339.12. All right, we find the sum of the base area and the lateral area, and that is going to give us 565.2, and the units here are going to be square yards. All right, just remember to circle or box that answer. Okay, let's try another one. All right. Problem 2, do it over here in blue. Start with your formula. Surface area is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r squared. That's the base area, plus 2 times pi times r times h. It's going to be your lateral area. Surface area is going to be equal to 2 times 3.14 times your radius, which is 3, right? That's right here. I'll highlight that in blue. Going to square that, plus 2 times 3.14 times your radius again, which is 3, times the height of the cylinder. That's going to be this segment here. That's going to be 18. Surface area is going to be equal to, remember, with your calculator, do the exponent first. 3 squared is 9, times 3.14 times 2. That's going to be 56.52, plus 2 times 3.14 times 3 times 18. It's going to be 339.12. Your surface area is going to be the sum of your base area plus your lateral area, and that's going to be 395. That's going to be 0.64, and those are square centimeters. All right, let's see, erase that, and let's box that answer, of course. All right, that looks good. Okay, our next problem. It says a cylinder has a radius of 8 inches and a height of 14 inches. What's the surface area of the cylinder to the nearest 10? All right, let's see what that's going to look like. All right, write our formula. Surface area is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. Surface area is going to be equal to, it's going to be 2 times 3.14 times your 8, that's going to be squared, plus 2 times 3.14 times your 8 times your 14. Okay? Right? 8 is the radius, 14 is your height. Right? Use your calculator. Remember to use your order of operations first, so you have to do the 8 squared first, which is 64. 8 times 8 times 3.14 times 2. That should be 401.92 plus 2 times 3.14 times 8 times 14. That should be 703.36. We find the sum of the base area and your lateral area, and that's going to be 1,105.28, and those are square inches. All right? Okay. All right, one more. A cylinder has a radius of 1.5 inches, a height of 3 inches. Find the surface area of the cylinder. Use 3.14 for your approximation for pi. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. The difference with this problem is you have no pictures. You have to gather your information from your reading. Okay? Start with your formula. Surface area is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. Substitute 2 times 3.14. You told your radius is 1.5. You're going to square that. Plus 2 times 3.14. Radius is 1.5. And then your height is going to be, what is that? Height is going to be 3. Okay? All right. Next step, make sure you do use your order of operations. So that's 1.5 squared, which is 1.5 times 1.5. And then you multiply by 3.14 and then by 2. That's going to give you 14.13 plus 2 times 3.14 times 1.5 times 3. That's going to be 28.26. We find the sum, and that's going to be 42.39. And your answer, of course, will be in square inches. All right? Okay. Now, another type of problem here, a little tougher, a little different. It says you have to find the radius of the cylinder given its surface area and the height. So we're already going to be given the surface area here. All right? We want to be able to find one of the other measurements. We're looking for the radius. Okay? But we still want to do the problems the same way we always do them, or the same way we always start, which is by writing the formula. Okay, so we have surface area is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. But at your substitution step, got to be a little bit more careful here, because you're asked to find, you're given the surface area, right? Your surface area is going to be 56 square centimeters, right? So if you're given that surface area, right, which is 56 square, or 56 times pi, so we want to write that, 56 times pi, that's going to be equal to, now, let's see, okay, and that's going to be equal to, let's see, 2 times pi times r times h. All right, now find, okay, next step, we want to divide both sides by, when we multiply 2 times pi times r times h to find r. So that's going to be, let's see, oh, one thing I forgot to point out here, all right, that the curved surface, right, the curved surface is this surface here, right? That's your curved surface. So they're talking about your lateral area. So your lateral area, right, is the 56 times pi. That's your lateral area. So that 56 pi square centimeters does not include your base area, right? I had to read that a little bit more carefully. All right. So now your next step, we have 56 times pi is going to be equal to 2 times 3.14 times r times your height, and your height is going to be 8. So we have 56 times pi is going to be equal to, what's that, 50.24. That's going to be times r. Divide both sides by the 50.24. Divide by 50.24. That's a 4. They cancel, and we wind up with a radius of 3.5 centimeters. That's going to be equal to the r. All right. So the problem there was that, right, if we're given the area of its curved surface, and we should probably word that maybe a bit better there, but the area of the curved surface would be the lateral area, right? And that's why we're only using, we don't have to use this measurement here, because the 56 pi does not include the area of the two bases. All right, let's try another one. The area of the curved surface of a cylindrical glass is 128 pi square centimeters. Its height is 16. What's the diameter of the glass? Use 3.14 as your approximation for pi. Okay. Start by writing your formula. 2 times pi times r squared plus the 2 times pi times r times h. But remember now, because once again we're told that the area of the curved surface, right, which does not include the bases, so, or the base areas, so I'm going to cross that out. So that surface area is essentially the lateral area. So I'm going to replace that with 128 times pi, and that's going to be equal to 2 times pi times r times h is the same as pi times diameter times h, pi times diameter times h, because we're asked to find the diameter this time, right? Because 2 times the radius is the same as the diameter. So with our next step, we have 128 times pi is going to be equal to, right, that's going to be 3.14. We're looking for the diameter, and our h is going to be what, 16? Next line, 128 times pi is going to be equal to, when we multiply that, that's going to be what, 16 times 3.14. I skipped something here. This is 128 times pi. Right, so that's going to be 128 times 3.14. That's 401.92. And then we have to multiply the 16 times 3.14. What's that? 48 what's that? 42. And that's times d. Divide both sides by that 48.42. Divide by 48.42. And that should give us, let's see, that's about 8 centimeters for the diameter. All right, should be about 8 centimeters for the diameter. All right. Okay, last one. The area of the curved surface of a cylindrical vase is going to be 80 times pi. Right? What's the height? Okay. So let's simplify this formula a bit, and we're just going to use the lateral area. The lateral area is going to be 2 times pi times r times h, right? Because the curved surface is the lateral area. So that's going to be 80 times pi. It's going to be equal to 2 times 3.14 what's our h here? Our h is 8 times r. So we have 80 times pi is going to be equal to, let's back that up a bit. Instead of 80 times pi, let's multiply the 80 times pi. It's going to be 251.2, and then that's going to be 50.24 times r. And we divide both sides by the 50.24, divide by the 50.24. They're going to cancel, and we wind up with 5 inches for the radius. All right. So these problems where we're looking for the curved, or we're given the curved surface area, just recognize that that's going to be your lateral area, and we solve for r. All right. I hope that that's been helpful, and see you guys soon.